Felipe Cortes with Leave It At That, and I've compiled a video containing some of the strongest arguments for removing Gregory Salcido from the Pico Rivera City Council. It also includes how and why he does not have free speech in a classroom. I also included how to remove him from City Council and how to fire him from being a teacher. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy this. It's actually kind of fun.
We are concerned that our participation in the meeting may interfere with Mr. Salcido's right to a fair airing of his concerns. We believe in due process. We believe in free speech. We do not believe in suppressing the opposition with ridicule or...
I think the responsible thing for you to do is to do that, is to apologize, is to resign from both. My younger son was a victim of you as well, by some of the remarks that you said. You've bullied kids because of their religion, because they don't share your beliefs, because I've heard so many kids come forth about being Christians and you ridiculing them, you're bullying them, you're singling them out.
You know, it's difficult.
And my apologies, this is, I've never seen so many public comments. Quite frankly, we're going by numbers now.
You know, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Salcido and I, we might look alike, but we're worlds apart. Is that the reputation we citizens want reflected upon our children? A reputation of arrogant unprofessionalism, bullying children, profanity, racism, and disrespecting heroes? I don't think so, and I don't think anybody in this room, except for one, thinks so.
I noticed tonight we said the pledge allegiance to the flag. Did you put your hand on your heart? No, because you think you're the greatest. You're not. You disgust me. I was your friend. I stood by you. You disappointed me so much. At this point, I don't consider you my friend anymore.
The professor's comments reflect hate and contempt and envy for those who represent duty, honor, and country and strive to become the best mind. The only thing I got to say about Mr. Salcido, he's pretty much of a coward. He's right up there with Jane Fonda. What he needs to do is serve permanent duty on latrine duty.
And thank God I respect this law enforcement. I'm angry at the comments that you've made. The freedoms that you enjoy was because of the blood that was shed for this country. And you don't have any free speech. Topolinsky versus New Hampshire, you don't have free speech. Everybody's wrong. You don't have free speech, okay? 1942, you might want to read it, because you're an educator, right? So read it. Anything to say? A 1,000-yard stare like you don't know what's going on?
Please address me, sir.
And a lot of these police, a lot of these deputies in the unincorporated area of Los Angeles are former Marines and soldiers and airmen and Navy. But just thank God that I can refrain from jumping over this podium to get you. And I respect this captain, I respect the lieutenant, I respect Pico Station. And I respect my freedoms because of the men and women who paid the ultimate price. Maybe you should too.
There has not been one way for this community to alleviate its frustration. And to sit here and tolerate a leadership that has been bullied by Greg and what's been in his elected in his bank coffer, in his whole campaign coffer. If it wasn't this action, what statement was it going to be? It wasn't pornography in the classroom, and it wasn't hitting a child. So I thank you humbly and with a lot of humility for taking the action and the resolution, but it comes late, Greg. You're sitting up there with a lot of arrogance. Take it down to Pico Boys, to Smith Park, to RBA. All the guys that I coached that made it out,
Please address.
talk to them. In the 90s, if you grew up here, it was gangbanging left and right, bro.
Please address.
The Marine Corps, the Navy, it saved some of my friends, and some of them didn't make it.
I was surprised what Sergeant Navarro decided when I came in, and it does say press pass that he decided I wasn't pressed. So, you know, issues of freedom of speech, you know, I surely don't want to be the first one to start taking away from freedom of speech because I couldn't show up like I am. I have a cable show clown in the town. I've launched more recalls than anybody walking. You're slapping a kid in the head? Come on, dude. Where do you come from? I mean, the word molestation means to annoy. So on your recall, if you don't step down, one of the things is going to say child molestation. It doesn't always have to be sexual. Or you will be disgraced permanently and by a clown. Because that's what... And I'm trying to get to Kinko so I could get a mask of you and wear it like I did Bill Postman.
Mr. Snell, thank you very much.
You need to leave. One more second. You need to leave. You know what? You don't speak English? Let me say it in Spanish. Señor, mi nombre es Juan Paratucci, hijos de Suchi, yo quiero pedirles el culichi. Thank you, gentlemen, and have a blessed day. Mr. Archuleta, I'll be getting a hold of you. I sent the recall petition to your secretary. I don't know if you got it yet or not. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 8.
And I'm not here to bash any individual at all, because anybody has a right to say anything they want to. I agree with that. But loose words have no return. And what he did was bring international fame that was not wanted, not that type of fame desired for the residents nor the city council. So what I ask of the city council and what I ask of the residents and the voting populace in Pico Rivera is now it's time to stand up and bring that village back together again. There is a recall petition that is going on. If the individual chooses not to resign on his own, and that's his God-given right, well, then it is time for the village to get together and continue to support the youth of today, because they're going to be up there tomorrow.
Mr. Salcido, what you did was wrong. You repeatedly do wrong things, and for once you bit off more than you can chew when you bit into the American veteran. The best thing you can do is give a heartfelt apology to everyone here, to the city council member, to your team, the school, and resign. Do the right thing. Be a man, stand up, apologize, and resign.
The city of Pico Rivera has a proud military history of achievement, sacrifice, and community pride. Councilman Gregory Salcido, through one recorded rant on public school grounds in the classroom of children, nationally disgraced the residents and veterans of our beautiful city, Pico Rivera, including all that serve currently in our military. Councilman Gregory Salcido was recorded making many mocking and disparaging comments about the character of our military volunteers, such as freaking stupid, freaking lowest, the low, and dumb you-know-whats. The comments that were made do not reflect the beliefs of our residents, nor did Councilman Gregory Salcido make these beliefs known to the city of Pico Rivera electorate in his recent campaign. Openly declaring these beliefs about the military during his campaign may have changed the outcome of this election. The community cannot thrive or accomplish its socio-economic goals with the councilman holding office for 2 more years. This will serve as a major distraction to the proper governance of our fine city. Our residents demand our due process. Through the recall election that we will let the voters determine the fate of Councilman Salcido. He must be removed from the city council.
You are a disgrace to our city. You have put us through so much in so little time. How dare you? How dare you stay there? How dare you have not resigned? The only thing you can do, Mr. Salcido, is to stand up tonight, apologize, and resign. I will sign my name, and I will definitely provide all the efforts, my small community of Manzanar Action Committee, to go ahead and gather as many signatures of registered voters in the city of Pico Rivera.
It would appear to me that Mr. Salcido has had a very sordid background in both his political and teaching careers. It simply amazes me that an above-average educated person that he is can get away with the multitude of offensive and in some cases criminal behavior, assault and battery to a student, without being criminally charged. I believe, as most Americans, fighting men and women that one of the basic principles that we volunteer to go to war is to protect everyone's right to free speech. However, as a teacher, he must use some restraint when teaching young adults about something he knows absolutely nothing about. And you cannot learn it in a book. I think it's sad that he should choose a classroom to spread his vile contempt for our military men and women, realizing that if he had used the old-fashioned method, standing on a soapbox on a street corner, spreading his contempt, he may not have survived the day and may have come very close to understanding a warrior's true contempt for war. In fact, I personally, not National's opinion, I personally believe he should be in jail instead of a classroom.
One thing that I have noticed about your personality, sir, in the past is that every time I've attended a veteran's service or memorial in this city of Pico Rivera, our town, you casually make yourself an excuse to leave when certain things are about to be brought up. The Pledge of Allegiance, an explanation of a military honor. One thing that our Honorable Councilman Bob Archuleta has done is go through the explanation of one honor that we hold for those that have gone and sacrificed for this country. When it comes to your students, sir, they do not have the ability to just leave the classroom whether or not they disagree with you. You, sir, are the kind of person who leaves and has that freedom when certain accolades are about to be brought upon our veterans in certain ceremonies. That is unacceptable. I don't understand how you think you can go on as a teacher, as a council member, and expect anyone to have trust in you ever again. I thank you for your time.
Mr. Salcido, immediately resign, sir. Immediately. I give you some credit for being here, but show the citizens of Pico Rivera some decency and respect and resign. I'm also a teacher, sir. I've taught at college and high school. Right now I'm teaching at a high school level. And I have a lot of diverse opinions about a lot of topics, but it is inappropriate, unprofessional to take my opinions into the classroom. We have a job to do. We need to be professionals. And we either annihilate or motivate. And based on your record, sir, and not just recently, but in the past, you've been annihilating and degrading many students. Yes, you could be voted out of office, true. And you could be recalled, true. But have some respect for the citizens. Resign. Immediately resign. And I know you know how to spell it, because you're an educated man. Resign, sir. It's time to do it. And not wait. Bye-bye.
Last week, I called you a coward in the school board meeting, and I'm going to tell it to you to your face. Okay, you're a disgrace to the city. I don't even know how to put my experience into words in front of you because I feel so passionately about this. It's really a shame that you would call our military the lowest of our low. And why don't you call ISIS the lowest of our low? Instead, you call the men and women who are fighting them to kill them to preserve our freedom and our way of life, you call them the lowest of our low. And I think that's just a real shame. And honestly, you could really learn a lot from Mr. Elias, your colleague. He respected us as students. You don't respect us. You don't respect your students. You belittle your students. You intimidate your students, you bully your students, and you try to indoctrinate them to believe the way that you believe. And honestly, I feel really sorry for you because you don't understand the price of freedom. You don't, because if you did, you wouldn't have said the things that you said. And there's a reason that you haven't apologized, because you meant what you said. And by telling by your body language and your facial expression, you're not sorry. You meant those things. And it's a real, it's a shame. This is coming from a student who had him in 2011. Okay, we're in 2018. This has been going on for years. Council, I'm sure you guys are aware. The school board is aware. This has been going on for too long. Okay, your conduct and your behavior as a teacher is inappropriate. I remember when you would have us, if we were late, either do push-ups, dance, or do jumping jacks. I don't know if that was just to humiliate us or what your rationale was behind it, but you don't follow the curriculum. You do what you please, and yet you hide behind the First Amendment, yet you trash those who serve, who sacrifice, who fight, and who die to protect it. And you don't care. It doesn't bother you. And I do feel sorry for you because you have so much hate in your heart. You really do. And you have these veterans here with us. You have Bob Archuleta, who's a veteran himself, and you don't care. You're his colleague, and you work with him, and you still said those things. And they came from your heart. And I really hope that as an alumni student, as your former student, you would take the things that I say seriously. I know you're probably not sorry because you haven't shown that you are. But I really hope that the things that we have said tonight do something to your heart, that they convict you, and really have a heart check for the things that you have said and the way that you've affected our community and the way that you've put our city on on the stage. It's just, I really do feel for you, and I feel for your family, and I really hope that you as a council take the things that I have said and the community I've said seriously, because this has been going on for too long.
If someone wants to take a knee or not raise their hand, this may not be unpopular, I'm okay with that. But that freedom of speech does not extend to a classroom. All right? We have something called case law, and there's something called case law called California Teachers Association versus San Diego Unified School District in 1996. And that bars the very behavior demonstrated by Councilman Salcido in the classroom. They clearly state that it is not protected speech under the First Amendment. So it is not protected speech. It is not freedom of speech because it happened during instructional activities. When he's not instructing, he can say whatever he wants. But during instructional activities, it's not protected. Now, I really appreciate what this council has done with the resolution, with the letter, the immediate actions. But there's one more thing that can be done that a lot of people don't think about. And this council is also bound by what's called Robert's Rules of Order. So Robert's Rules of Order allows, by a 2/3 vote, you can strip a member's rights and privileges, so you can effectively remove him without actually removing him. That's the next step you can do. You can, 4 people, that's more than 2/3 of your 5-member body, remove all his rights, privileges, and voting power on this council. And I would strongly encourage you to do that as soon as possible. Thank you.
Disrespect our community. You need to resign. From what I have heard from all the years from different students, makes me wonder, as ISIS infiltrated our schools, if we were back in those days way back, we'd probably tar and feather you and run you out of town on a rail. Yes.
It's good to be here. It's pleased to be here, even in front of the fake news people over here. And politicians, it's a bad time for politicians these days. But, dude, how did you get this far? How did you get this far? Some kid comes in, he has a camera, captures you mouthing off against the country, as you've probably been doing your whole life. And if that kid didn't capture you on film, where would we be right now? And how many other teachers and politicians are bad-mouthing this country because you've gotten away with this for a long, long, long time? And we shouldn't be here right now, but you know, you've consumed a lot of energy from this great community. And in fact, I grew up in East LA, but I'm well aware of the history of the military and the pride that the military has brought to this community. It's well known in this region, I would say. But you know what? You got to go. You got lucky. You know, your communist stuff that you spew out to the students and to the community. It's done no one any good at all. I don't know how you got this far. You know, and you guys, you guys tolerate this stuff too. It's not just him slipping through the cracks, which he clearly did. You know, I mean, as politicians and the educators and all that, he's just the tip of the iceberg. There's many more like this gentleman. Or, I'm sorry, I apologize for calling him a gentleman. You know, you got to go. Just don't be a douche. Just leave these fine people to their community and let them have their pride in their country, as we all do. And I certainly do as well.
I can see in your eyes, in your actions and reactions, that you have no shame, sir. You should not even be a member of this council, sitting next to a man like Mr. Barbarchuleta. And I'm glad they pointed it out to me that you're the one that's the stupid one. You're lower than the lowest. You're lower than whale shit, sir, and that's at the bottom of the ocean.
Wherever he goes, he may not be in prison for life, but there'll be a cage around him the rest of his life. You know, I've opened my mouth at the wrong time, you know, in the past, and, you know, I've had, you know, gang members threaten me, and I'm like, okay, whatever, it's my time, it's my time. But, you know, been lucky. So we've all misspoken. This was, you know, a little more than that, but, you know, he'll unfortunately, well, he's gonna pay his price. I mean,
you are a disgrace to our country. You are a disgrace to the teaching profession. How dare you bring down and degrade every military member, women and men. It's very insulting. Have you ever served in the military? No. And you probably will never either, because you're a coward. And you should save all the taxpayers' money by resigning. Resigning now.
Because what's been going on in our nation over the past couple years is if you have a different point of view from an educator, then you have no point of view. Which is sad because people in the military have all points of view. But as an educator, especially at the high school level, where young adults, where they become young adults, their mind is so fragile. And at that age, I was easily manipulated into thinking left is good, right is good, left is bad, right is bad. But you really have to take a step back and look at it. And when I see you talk bad about the military, you just completely throw your teaching credentials, the office that you hold as a city councilman, you just throw it out the window. And what your history degree should have taught you is that every war the United States has been in since the First World War has changed. So when I heard your comment is, why can't we defeat these guys in caves? It's because they don't wear a uniform like our law enforcement. They don't wear a uniform like our men and women in the military. They hide amongst the civilian population. And just watching documentaries and listening to people who have actually fought there in Iraq and Afghanistan, you know how hard it is to decipher between an enemy and a non-combatant? They look exactly the same because that's how they want it to be. They want to confuse the Americans in uniform, so hey, they shot a civilian because they thought he was ISIS or the Taliban. No. What you did was just completely ignorant and wrong, and I do call for your resignation.
This is How to Fire a Teacher in California from Senator Alex Padilla in Pacoima. A school district may remove certified public school employees as deemed necessary. The employee is entitled to pay during the investigation and must report to work at a district office away from the school, an environment often referred to as a rubber room. Dismissal investigations can take months to more than a year. Grounds for firing: immorality, persistent violation of school rules, unprofessional conduct, commissions of a felony or sexual harassment, unsatisfactory performance, and evident unfitness to teach. Once district staff members recommended dismissal, the school board reviews the evidence and votes on whether to terminate the employee. The employee's scaly due process rights require the employer to issue a 30-day written notice to the employee stating that the intent to dismiss and the charges or complaints for charges of unprofessional conduct and unsatisfactory performance. The Education Code provides an additional 45 to 90-day notice period before the governing board can give a notice of an intent to dismiss. State code prohibits boards from issuing a dismissal notice during summer break, May 15 to September 15 of each year. So it has to be done quick. When the employee receives notice from the board's intent to dismiss, there is a 30-day period in which she may appeal the decision. And I'm guessing they usually think she's the teachers are she's, but this teacher's a male. If no appeal after that time, the employee is fired. If the employee chooses to appeal, a hearing must be conducted within 60 days. I'm guessing he's going to appeal. He seems like a lazy guy that didn't really do anything much than read history. Hearing. The Commission of Professional Competence is a 3-person panel made up of an administrative law judge and 2 teachers. 1 teacher is chosen by the employee and the other is chosen by the school board. Experts say finding qualified teachers to sit on the panel and finding calendar openings for all parties can make the 60-day threshold difficult to hit. This shouldn't. Evidence older than 4 years is inadmissible during the hearing. I'm not sure if that one video about him saying that kiddie porn and child porn is okay. I'm not sure if that's admissible, but someone should bring it up. The panel votes whether to terminate the employee. In 34 states, school boards make that final decision. Final appeal. A fired employee may petition the Superior Court to have administrative panel's decisions overturned. I'm guessing he's going to go through with that too because he's not smart enough to apologize and leave. Costs. If the school district loses during the process, it must pay its own and the employee's legal rights or legal bills. If the school district wins, it must still pay its own legal fees. So that's it. There's a link to this stuff in the description. Thank you for watching. If you want to make a contribution, you can make a donation or you can make a purchase from one of my products. I'm Felipe Cortes. We'll leave it at that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. If you want to contribute or help out, the best thing you can do is donate, buy a pocket jukebox 4-song, $2 homemade CD demo. It's not really a demo, for $2. Or you can get a pass identifier 2-song homemade CD for $2. Or you can get a $4.50 pink vinyl 7-inch Stalkers board in the USA. It has a heads and it has a tails. So I'll get into explaining that one later. Or you can, if you really want to help out a lot and you want to get a piece of reading material that is pretty far out there, you can get my Lobo script. And Lobo is a DC Comics and Warner Brothers character. And this script is WGA registered. So you can buy it from me for a fantastic price, and you can help out this broadcast. You can help out my recordings, and you can help me get a little more in touch with everyone out there. Thank you very much, and I hope you share and tell people about this.